Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Vajjana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Vajjana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Vajrakacharya Ashtotar Tat Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Vajrakacharya Ashtotar Tat Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktabinda Ki Jai. All glories to the Assembled devotees. All glories to the Assembled devotees. All glories to the Assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Can you pull those curtains for me? It's a little glary. Oh, he's going to... Okay. Okay. On the 7th day of April, 2025, in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are in Canto 8, Withdrawal of the Cosmic Creations. Chapter 5, the Demigods appeal to the Lord for protection. Text number 50, which is the final verse of this chapter. Namas Tubhyam Anantaya Durvitarkyatma Karmane Nirgunaya Guneshaya Sattva Staya Chasampratam Namastubhyamanantaya Durvitarkyatma Karmane Nirgunaya Guneshaya Sattvastaya Chasampratam Namastubhyamanantaya Durvitarkyatma Karmane Nirgunaya Guneshaya Sattvastaya cha sampratam. Namastubhyamanantaya Dovitarkyatmakarmane Nirgunaya Guneshaya Sattvastaya cha sampratam. Namastubhyamanantaya Dovitarkyatmakarmane Nirgunaya Guneshaya Tvastaya Sampratam. Namastubhyamanantaya Dovitarkyatmakarmane Nirgunaya Guneshaya Sattvastaya cha sampratam. Want to try it? Namastubhyamanantaya Karmane Durvitarkyatmakarmane Nirgunaya Guneshaya Sattvastaya cha sampratam. Anyone online? Vijay, you there? Guess not. Namaha. Namastubhyamanantaya
Durvitarkyatmakarmane
Durvitarkyatmakarmane
Nirgunaya Guneshaya
Nirgunaya Guneshaya
Tattvastaya cha sampratam.
Sattvastaya cha sampratam. Namaha. All obeisances. Tubhyam. Unto you, my Lord. Anantaya. Who are everlasting. Transcending the three phases of time. Past, present, and future. Durvitarkya Atmakarmane. Unto you who perform inconceivable activities. Nirgunaya, which are all transcendental, free from the inebriety of material qualities. Is that what it says there? Okay. Guna Ishaya, unto you who control the three modes of material nature. Sattvastaya, who are in favor of the material quality of goodness. Cha, also. Sampratam, at present. Okay, so the word guna appears in this verse several times. And guna ishaya, you who control the modes of nature. But the other appearances are also about the modes of nature. When it says you are in favor of the material quality of goodness, you see in the purport the quality becomes guna. So it's going to be all gunas, all modes. Okay, translation. My Lord, all obeisances unto you. So this is Brahma speaking. He's helping the demigods. They've been attacked by the demons who conquer them with serpent weapons. My Lord, all obeisances unto you who are eternal, beyond time's limits of past, present, and future. You are inconceivable in your activities. You are the master of the three modes of material nature, and being transcendental to all material modes, you are free from material contamination. You are the controller of all three of the modes of nature, but at the present you are in favor of the mode of goodness. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto you. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead controls the material activities manifested by the three modes of material nature. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Nirgunam Gunabhoktracha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is always transcendental to the material modes, Sattva Guna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna. But nonetheless, he is their controller. The Lord manifests himself in three features as Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara. To control these three modes, He personally takes charge of Sattva Guna as Lord Vishnu, and he entrusts the charge of Rajoguna and Tamoguna to Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, respectively. Ultimately, however, he is the controller of all three gunas. Lord Brahma, expressing his appreciation, said that because Lord Vishnu had now taken charge of the activities of goodness, there was every hope that the demigods would be successful in fulfilling their desires. The demigods were harassed by the demons who were infested with tamoguna. However, as Lord Brahma has previously described, since the time of Sattva Guna had now arrived, the demigods could naturally expect to fulfill their desires. The demigods are supposedly well advanced in knowledge, yet they could not understand the knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the Lord is addressed here as Anantaya. Although Lord Brahma knows past, present, and future, he is unable to understand the unlimited knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purpose of the 8th canto, 5th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled, The Demigods Appeal to the Lord for Protection. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmidatam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and to all members of Sri Parampara, the disciplic succession. So, Brahma has offered these prayers at the request of the demigods who were harassed by the demons who conquered them with their serpent weapons. Many of them were killed, actually, it says at the beginning. So then Brahma, as he did at the beginning of the 10th canto, or as will do at the beginning of the 10th canto, he approached the shore of the ocean of milk, Svetadvipa, and meditated. And then, and here he's not meditating, but he's offering this series of prayers. And as I mentioned, I think last time I gave class or the previous time on these verses, that the first set of verses is all obeisances. You go through maybe 10 or 12, it's all obeisances. He glorifies and then obeisances. And then he switches to praying for, may the Lord be pleased with us. You recall that? That's another theme. May the Lord be pleased upon us, you know. And I don't recall, but you can remind me, but I don't think there's any specific prayer here where he's saying, please save us from the demons, or something like that, you know. But he's confident that the Lord understands the plight of the demigods, and this glorification and this obeisances and prayer for be pleased will be sufficient, and it is. What will happen is that the demigods and the demons declare a truce for the purpose of churning the ocean of milk and getting nectar so they can become immortal. And so the Lord, and it's all described in terms of the Manus and the Manvantaras. So this particular Manvantara is the previous one. It's 6. We're in the 7th, I think. Pretty sure. And so his Manvantara avatar. Each of the Manus is not himself an avatar of Krishna, although he may be considered maybe a Shaktivesh, but not a plenary, you know, not Vishnu Tattva. But each of the Manus has one Vishnu Tattva avatar to help him manage, and you know, and in this case to help solve this conundrum. And the Manvantara avatar for the last, the Manvantara avatar for the last Manvantara is Ajita, and he then appears as Kurma, in order to facilitate the churning of the ocean of milk. When we read that, we'll see that they carry the whole Mount Mandara, all the demigods and the demons. It's very heavy, it's described. Some of them get crushed, you know, they're carrying it. And they put it in the ocean of milk. But it's not too bright because they need to have some pivot in order to... So they start churning and it starts sinking. And then Kurma appears. He's on, and he has that big turtle, actually. Turtles are in the water, and turtles can be live in the water on land, but tortoises can live only on land. The Prabhupada always said tortoise. So, that's probably what it is. But anyway, get the idea. So he becomes large enough avatar to sit there and be the pivot upon which they're churning the ocean of milk and moving Mount Mandara. It's very large. And it's described that he's enjoying, I think that's maybe in the 12th canto, the scratching on his back, you know. So that's, and then you'll see all kinds of things come out of that ocean. There's the poison which Shiva has to drink in order to save the world. And there is Airavata comes out of there, the moon comes out of there, and finally, I think Mohini Murti also appears. I don't know if she comes out of but she appears because they have this, okay, who's going to distribute the nectar? So somehow the demons want to get all the nectar, and they get that plan going. But Mohini comes, and she's Krishna's expansion, and just as beautiful as Krishna is, but in a feminine form. So she completely bewilders the minds of the demons, and she asks them for all their shares of. She gets all the nectar, and she gives it all to the demigods. So except Rahu, he got some, and he was able to swallow a little bit before his head was cut off. But by that time, the head was immortal. So then that becomes the Rahu planet. You see. Anyway, all kinds of things will happen. It's very interesting. But what I wanted to focus on was the general principle here of calling on the Lord when there's trouble. This is what's going on now. All this glorification and description. This one is all about how, you know, the modes of nature, and that he's personifying the modes of goodness, and it's time for the mode of goodness. So please help the demigods to, you know, keep their positions so that the goodness will reign on the earth and like that. That's basically the tenor of this prayer, and this is the last one. But the general principle is that the Lord is favors the demigods, or the devotees, who are also known as suras, and that we can call upon him in times of trouble. Now that's throughout the Krishna book, the 10th canto, we'll see that, especially Vrindavan Leela, isn't it? They don't know that this is God, you know, that the little baby is. Yeah. But then when the trouble comes, they call on Krishna to save them when they see how powerful he is. When the torrents of rain come from Indra, what are they going to do? They call on Krishna, and he lifts the hill. When the fire comes several times, and they're threatened by this, you know, please save us, you know, Lord, and he swallows the fire. So this principle of being confident of Krishna's protection is a very important one of the 6 principles of surrender, right? Rakshishyatiti Vishvaso means having full confidence in Krishna's protection, which is quite a big thing, because it may not seem that he's protecting. You know, you may count yourself as very religious, like Prabhupada tells that story, well-known story of the wives of all of the Germans who were fighting in World War II near the end, and they were very you know, dutiful Lutherans, probably. That was a very prominent offshoot of a division of Christianity in Germany at the time. Still is, I think. And they would go and fervently pray to the Lord in the church, all of them, you know, please send our son back, our brother back, our husbands, our fathers, you know, like that. And the vast majority of them didn't come back. And they lost faith in the Lord, you see. So there's also that principle which came up in one of these purports, I think we read, this tatte nukampam susamikshamano bundana eva nukutam vipakam hridvagvapube vadadan namaste jivet yo mukti badesa daya bak. That this is a prayer, I believe, yes, by Brahma in chapter 14, which is after the stealing the boys and calves, and that whole thing is reconciled. And he says, "Oh, this really is God, and this little boy here, you know." So there's this four-headed, you know, Brahma offering prayers to Krishna. Krishna doesn't say a word, even at the end of the prayers. He doesn't react at all. Just by maybe a nod of his head, and Brahma takes off. But the importance of this prayer cannot be overemphasized. Of this verse, and that is that this also comes up in Chaitanya Lila. Tatte nukampam Susamikshimano. So one should always see the Lord as full of mercy. And understand that things that happen, dangers, negative things that happen in our lives, are simply due to our previous karma, you see? And that we can't lose faith in Krishna or blame Krishna for it, you know? This is, and that we should think that, welcome back, you survived. Not the curse, but the cruise. Sorry, not curse, the cruise. So the one should understand, oh, Krishna is minimizing the result of my activity, you see? So kind, you see? And in this way, you keep your positive attitude toward Krishna. Oh, he's so kind, he's minimizing it. And if one can maintain this attitude and not, you know, blaming him for difficulties that occur, and you can call upon him, but you know you may get a certain measure of relief, but not all that you expected, whatever. Then you have a place. It says Bunjana evatna kritam vipakam ridvag vapubir vidadhanamaste. Continue to offer obeisances and serve him with your mind, body, and words. Ridvag vapubir, your heart. Yojiva de mukti bade. One who lives in this way becomes dayabak. Means that you become like someone inheriting property. You're due it. There's no doubt that you go back to Godhead. If you can keep this positive attitude toward Krishna and faith in Krishna in all of the vicissitudes, which means the changes of your fortune in this world. You know, things difficult happen. So that's what's going on here, and the way in which Krishna reciprocates with them. He gives this whole thing with the churning of the milk, and he appears as Mohini Murti, and then he distributes the nectar to the demigods. That's quite a pastime, Mohini Murti. She's so powerful, she's able to bewilder Shiva. You know, Shiva is famously, if he doesn't want to be, he won't be agitated, even by Parvati, you know, touching him. But he was totally taken with Mohini Murti, and he follows after her and so forth. So I wanted to do something a little unusual, because I realized after reading this morning that this is right in the theme of this chapter and these prayers. And this is the latest mail out from Vijay Prabhu. He has this Sankirtan newsletter of different stories. Many of them are incorporated into his book, and they're still coming in. The glories of the treasures of the Brihat Madanga. But this one is just blew me away. And I have another story in a similar vein that was told to me by a Sankirtan devotee named Suresha. Not Sureshwar, but Suresha, which is his previous name. Anyway, we'll get to that. So this was told by Pandava Saka Prabhu, who I don't know, and it occurred somewhere in Western Europe. We don't have the exact city, and we don't have the exact date, but it's 70s or 80s probably. Well, so this is the story. While out on Harinam and book distribution one day, a group of devotees were confronted by some Christian ministers who constantly insulted them and even hired some skinheads, neo-fascists, to attack them. Dressed in black shirts and swastikas, the skinheads came in front of the devotees brandishing stakes and clubs and chains. Not knowing what to do, the devotees froze until one brave devotee stepped up to the skinheads and started insulting them, calling them fascist thugs and other names to distract them from the devotees doing Harinam and book distribution. That's pretty amazing, huh? Pretty brave. It worked. The skinheads came at him in a rage, but he was a fast runner. So he ran and ran until he found himself in a blind alley. Have you ever heard this story before? Is anyone? This is like, hello, you know, Krishna exists. So he's in a blind alley. The devotee knew the skinheads had him, you know. So he sat down in a lotus position, faced the thugs coming at him, closed his eyes, and very loudly chanted the prayers to Lord Nrsingadev. After chanting the complete prayers twice, he opened his eyes, and lo and behold, they were gone. Astonished, he knew Lord Nrsingadev had saved him. Now, 2 years later, a former skinhead from the same group came to the devotee's temple and asked, "Do any of you remember the skinheads who threatened you?" "Yes, we remember," the devotees replied. "One of you enraged us so much that we went after him." He continued, "We trapped him in a blind alley, but when we ran up to tear him apart, a huge shaggy monster with fangs and long nails suddenly appeared in front of us. We all fled in fear. I had a change of heart after that and left the skinheads." It says, "I had a change in heart after that and left the skinheads. Now I'm seeking what I want to do with my life." It doesn't say he became a devotee, but you can see it. So that's pretty amazing, huh? Now, I want to tell a similar story, because this was told to me. I read it once, and then I heard it directly from Suresha, when our old friend Kanchan Bala's late husband, Madhusudan. I'm sorry, I'm getting old. We used to call him Madhusudan for a long time, before. Yes, Madhusudan. When he passed away from COVID, there was a ceremony here, a memorial, and a lot of devotees came down from different temples who knew him. And we had some Zoom calls. I think Vidyanand Maharaj got on a Zoom call honoring him. So one devotee who came for Madhusudan ceremony was Suresha, the same devotee who I didn't meet earlier, but back when I was working on Back to Godhead in the late 70s, mid to late 70s, it was it was 4th of July issue, coming out in July. So he was in a parade in Philadelphia, famous parade that's held every 4th of July, and he was distributing books and he was dancing, and chanting in the parade. And he was static, so we put him on the front of that Back to Godhead. And then I heard this story about him, and then when he came, he told it to me personally and added some parts that I hadn't heard. So here's the story. In the early 70s, he was a Sankirtan devotee. He was a book distributor in Los Angeles. And they sent him one day to Watts. Now, Watts is part of the ghetto. It was lived, in by all the blacks lived there. And in the late 60s, there was a big riot there and in other ghettos all over the country when Martin Luther King was assassinated. So it was a rough area, and there were various gangs who were there. And one of them was called the Crips. And the reason they got that name is because they crippled their enemies. They would, break your legs and everything. So they're tough, Anyway, he's in the middle of Watts. He's at a shopping center, and he was distributing all day. Now, in his dhoti and everything. And he didn't get, many reciprocations, but he got some donations and distributed some magazines probably, because people don't have much money, So he's getting near the end of the day. And suddenly, these members of the Crips gang surround him. And he said, "We've been watching you. We know that you've been collecting money all day, so give us all the money." So I said, no, this belongs to Lord Chaitanya, something like that, So I said, "You don't, and we're going to beat you up." So "I don't care, it belongs to Lord Chaitanya." So they started beating him, So then he closed his eyes and he just called out the Nrsingadev at the top of his lungs several times, Maybe, 5, 6 times, And the beating stopped, and then he opened his eyes and they were gone. But he got some bruises, he's a little injured. So there was like something equivalent to CVS. There was one of those places in the shopping mall. And so he went inside to get some Band-Aids or whatever. And the guy saw him coming, and he hid behind the counter. He was terrified. And so Suresh didn't go beyond that, but I realized, just like this, that Nrsingadev had appeared and just completely terrified those guys who were tough guys, and they ran off. And this guy saw it, and he didn't, he was just terrified by the same thing. Now there's another story with him, and not exactly in this, but similar. And that he would go out regularly. There was a party. A lot of the Sankirtan was going out, book distribution from LA, and they would go to different parts of the city. So they had several cars, and he had on that day he had his own car, and they went to a certain destined, part of the city. And he parked the car, and he looked up. It looked overcast. It looked like it rain. It might rain, but he said, "Okay, I'll take my umbrella, but I'll try to distribute." And he distributed all day. It didn't rain, So then he went to find his car, and he saw that the car was wet. It had been rain where the car was parked, which is nearby. Oh, that's pretty amazing. So he goes back to the temple, and the party is there, taking some prasadam in the afternoon, in the end of the day. And he asked them, "Well, how did you guys do, How did we do? We were completely rained out." So the only place it didn't rain, so he had prayed, that please, and asked Krishna to control Indra like he did with the governor, so it wouldn't rain, So it had rained everywhere else, but it didn't rain on him. Because so how does this tie in with the Bhagavatam? Well, this is the same thing, isn't it? Here you have Brahma. They don't know what they're going to do because the demons are more powerful at this point. So Brahma goes, and he's not praying for anything directly, just like this devotee. He was just chanting the Shringa prayers. He didn't say, "Oh, Nrsinga, please save me," like that. He's just glorifying the Shringa. And this thing happened in back in Europe somewhere. And the same thing is there today. So this is I believe this story. I don't, and I certainly believe Suresha, because he's going to stand there and lie to me after all that. And so these are faith-building things that really help all of us to get to strengthen our faith, because that faith has to be unshakable. It's like Vyavasayatmaka Buddhi, that verse in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. In the purport to there, Prabhupada quotes the verse by Lord Chaitanya in teaching to Sanatana Goswami about the definition of faith. Shraddha Shabde Vishwas Kohe Sudrida Nishchoy Krishna Bhakti Korli Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. Firm faith is defined as unbreakable confidence that just by practicing Krishna consciousness, performing the duties in Krishna consciousness, all my aspirations will be fulfilled. In other words, everything that I expect in life will be fulfilled. That's how I'll have success in life. Not that I have to do anything else. So that kind of faith is evinced in these kind of pastimes, where you take full shelter and you call out to the Lord. And these stories that the distributors tell, is evidence of that. You're going out, you're hoping, you're praying, you're doing what it is. And there's so many incredible instances where people respond, they get books, and then their faith is then increased if and when they read the books. And I see it, people who come to my class, new people come, and they've gotten the book and so forth. And that's how the movement is going on. Krishna is reciprocating, but if you simply chant and you take part, and you feel a difference in your life, and you feel that there's some hope, you see, and when you learn more and your knowledge is deepened, and you are chanting and serving and everything, then you become more and more convinced that Krishna is really out there, and that this is real, and of course Prabhupada's life itself is a faith building. Just if you study the Lilamrita or even the abridged one, it's full of miracles. The whole thing is a miracle, especially when he came to America and the way the movement, So these kind of pastimes, whether they're current or there's so many in the Bhagavatam, obviously, should give us more determination to practice Krishna consciousness and cast out all doubts and become completely dependent on Krishna for everything, and this way advance. So it's 8:25. Any questions or comments on these points or stories? I just wanted to, anyone's listening out there, if you want to get part of this this newsletter that Vijay gives out. He gets these stories all the time. At least once a week, I think he sends them out. Just write to me, and I'll send you the email address. Dravida, Dravida 108 at Gmail. And I'll also include my poems. Okay, any comments, questions, realizations? You could probably tell 5 stories like that every day. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hi, Bol.
There's this one devotee, he told me he was out, they were going out on Harinam, and then some person was trying to give him a hard time. He even spit out the floor, and then he was looking at this devotee like, I'm gonna...
What about the floor? I mean,
this person that was harassing the devotee, he spit on the floor.
oh, spit on the floor.
And he was...
So it was inside or on the ground?
It was outside.
Yeah, okay, on the ground.
And so this devotee started chanting the, Nrsimhadev prayers. And then this person actually walked away. He got scared. So it reminds me of that story.
Yeah, these mantras, for Lord. I mean, I'll share this one with you. You probably heard it before, but this is one of my, well, there's several, this whole, the Nishinga Kavacha is available if you want it. I have it recorded and as well as the text. And at the end, there's this incredible verse about Lord Chaitanya. Some of you may be familiar with it. Garjantam, Garjayantam, Nijaputapatalam, Spotayantam, Hatantam. Kurantam, Garjantam, Garjayantam, Nijaputapatalam, Spotayantam, Hatantam, Vikshantam, Purniyantam, Kadanikadashataya, Divvisi. That's the last. I'm sorry, it goes on like that, describing how he's scattering the demons and destroying them, and dittis from the heaven down to the earth, and then and he's tearing them apart, throwing them. And then the last line is all about yes, but he's also maintaining the whole world and everything like that. But my favorite one is in the Bhagavatam, the prayers of Prahlad. It's one of his prayers. This one I won't forget. Om Namo Bhagavate Narasinghaya Namastejas Tejase Avadavir Bhavavadranaka Vadradangshta Karma Shayan Randaya Randaya Tamo Grasa Grasa Hom Swaha Abhyam Abhyamapani Bhuishta Ong Shram. Now for me to put together a whole translation, I don't know. Om Namo Bhagavate Narasinghaya Namastejas Tejase. A lot of repetition. That's a sign of high emotion, an emphasis. All obeisance unto you, O most powerful of the powerful, Tejas, Tejase. Please appear in my heart, Avid Avir, and with your thunderbolt-like teeth and your thunderbolt-like nails, tear apart all of these latent material desires that are still causing me so much trouble. Avid Avir, Vajranaka, Karmashayan, means the hope for fruit of activities. Randaya, rip it apart. Randaya, tamo grasa grasa, dissipate this darkness, this tamogun in my heart. Om swaha, I offer oblation unto you. Abhyam, please make me fearless, Lord, in this world of danger. And then the kicker is that in the purport there, because I discovered this first when I'm editing the 5th canto back in 1975, and at the end of the purport, Prabhupada says, any devotee who wants to be free from material desires should offer the prayers to Lord Nrsimhadev as Prahlad did in this prayer. You see, and if you recall, when Lord Nrsimhadev kills Hiranyakashipu, and then Prahlad offers all his prayers, and then he's not really asking for anything, So Nrsimhadev said, "Well, what would you like? I'm prepared to give you anything." And Prahlad says, "My Lord, I'm not a vanik. I'm not a merchant doing business with you, I was born in a demonic family, so don't tempt me. I might slip back into that mode or whatever." But then he realizes that it will please Nrsimhadev if he can offer him something. So it's a service to take something. And so he said, "Okay, I forget this verse. I got to review my verses again. If you want to offer me some desirable boon, my Lord, then offer me this one. That in my heart there will never take root any material desires. The same, but it's just a little tiny verse of the other people. And also, famously, he also asked that his father would be forgiven, that he would be delivered. And he said, "Don't worry, you know, so many generations back and so many generations forward, we've all taken care of, you know." And of course, Hiranyakashipu is Jai or Vijay, and so he'll eventually go back to God. But that's, I always remember that one. And as soon as I read that in the manuscript, you know, that those should remember this prayer, then I immediately memorized it right in the manuscript form. And the next one is good too, but I won't get into that. That's get far afield. That whole series, there's only about 6 of them, but each one of them is super potent. Go ahead, Dvija.
Well, I just have a story I remembered. We were doing December marathon, I think, maybe in January. We were at USD distributing books, the private university, Catholic university, and they told us to leave. So unfortunately, we had to go. We packed up with me and Matthias, and we went to the mall. And we were at the mall.
What does USD stand for?
University of San Diego.
Okay, but it's not a state college.
No, it's a private Catholic school.
Okay.
In Mission Valley.
UCSD is
USD, yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So we went to the mall, the Fashion Valley Mall, and we were there for maybe like 2 hours or something till the end of our time on Sankirtan. And what happened was that one security person was coming and looking at us. We would go this way, he would go that way, you know, with us, you know. And then he let us stay, and by the end he comes over to us. And it was almost 5 o'clock, so we were about to leave anyway. And he comes over, and I thought, okay, that's it. He's going to just tell us, go away, you can't do this here, you know. And he comes over and he asks, so what are these books about? Let me take a look. And we didn't end up taking any, but it's just funny how he let us distribute. And also one time in Grossman College, we were distributing, and then all of a sudden this professor comes over, and I thought, also, we're in trouble. And he goes, well, let me see, what do you guys have here? And he took Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, went back to his office, came back with the envelope with a thank you letter and a donation.
Wow. I can see how enlivening, you know, just going out and, well, we've had these good experiences before. Maybe we'll have some of these incredible experiences now, even if it's a dry day, you know. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, these stories are definitely real.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much.